Hey guys, Timothy Roberts here. In this video, I'm going to talk about a cymbal commission I just finished. It's a 21.5-inch cymbal that weighs about 2,023 grams, right around there. And it was modeled after a very particular old stamp, old K, 2B. The customer sent me a YouTube video of the exact cymbal reference, and they were able to get in touch with the guy who owns the old K, and that guy sent photos and even a couple extra videos. So I was able to get a lot of information about this reference cymbal without actually having it in my shop. And in this video, I just want to talk to you about that process, talk to you about what I did, the techniques and the processes, and even the thought process that I had to use with recreating the cymbal. And that way you guys can understand and know a little bit more if you ever want to have a cymbal commissioned, just what to expect. All right, so first up, the two video links are in the description below, and those links will take you to the reference old K. And you guys can listen to that cymbal, hear how it sounds, come back to this video, check out this cymbal, and you can let me know what you think as far as how close did I get to the reference. So the big thing that I have to think about when I'm tasked with recreating a specific cymbal sound is, how am I interacting with that sound? Am I hearing it on a recording? Am I actually able to play the cymbal? Do I have the cymbal in front of me? Or am I hearing the cymbal in the audience of a live concert that's happening? So all of those different ways of interacting with the cymbal will dictate how that cymbal is being perceived by me, because we all know a cymbal sounds way different when you're playing it versus when you're hearing it out front versus when you're hearing it mic'd. The other big thing is the miking techniques that were used. Is there audio editing happening? A lot of times more standard microphones and cheaper microphones will have a good bit of coloring to the sound. So it won't give you a super accurate high fidelity sound. It'll kind of color it a little bit. So usually they'll be a little bit warmer sounding or darker sounding than they actually sound in person. So when I was interacting with these videos, it was clear to see that the camera was behind the cymbal, and more than likely the mic was either with the camera or it was over top of the cymbal. It didn't sound to me like there was a lot of audio compression or EQ going on, but there might have been a little bit. And it did sound to me like the sound was a little bit warmer than I imagine it probably was in the room. So probably dealing with some pretty standard overhead mics or some slightly cheaper microphones. The mics that I use in my videos have a very high fidelity sound and very clear top end, which isn't necessarily the best thing that you want when you're like recording a cymbal sound if you want it to sound the best it can. You actually want a microphone that's going to kind of warm things up, because obviously we're dealing with a metal plate. It's got high frequencies, it's shrill, relative to all other sounds that exist. So a microphone that's going to kind of color the sound and make it a little darker and warmer would actually make the cymbals translate a little bit better than they do in person. So I was able to kind of judge that this particular cymbal in person was probably a little bit icier, glassier, had a little bit more top end than I was necessarily hearing when I was just listening to the videos. The other thing is I got to get pictures of this cymbal, which is just like, I never get that. That's and not only pictures, but pictures that are actually oriented properly to really be able to see the profile, really be able to see the bell, really be able to see up close and see the hammering. And I could see, just because of how this guy took the photos, I could see the exact profile and exactly how the surface kind of moved and the flow of the cymbal's bow. I was able to really see all the different areas, and I was able to use that to recreate the shape to the best of my ability. So with the cymbal, the video is going to say, you'll see 22 inches on the video. The customer measured it, and the right way to measure it is flip the cymbal upside down with a tape across here, and the actual measurement was 21.5 inches. So you'll see 22 inches, 2,000 grams. So it's really 21.5 inches, and then it can be kind of a range, usually a range of like 10 grams heavier or lighter can be kind of the range. And so I knew, 21 and a half, we're dealing with around 2,000 grams, which is definitely thin. The pictures revealed quite a tall profile, which is not going to really focus all that great, but a rather bowed curvature and a nice wide, low, wonky bell, which is very common with old Ks. So I took a totally flat piece of bronze, no hammering whatsoever, ragged edge, not a perfect circle, and I found the center hole. I was able to kind of roughly guess based on the bell in proportion to the whole cymbal size around what the bell diameter was. And then I built the bell up, as you can see here. Built the bell up by hand. It's got kind of a little bit of some wonkiness to it. It's not a perfect, it's not like a press bell or anything. It's got a little bit of inconsistencies, which is good because it allows you to hit the bell in different areas and get different tones, which is what makes, to a lot of guys, that's what makes the old Ks so interesting to play, is they have all these different sounds you can pull out of them. So then, basically, built the shape up, and it's had weeks to basically kind of, for me to make little tweaks in here and there. And it was a little bit lower shaped, and I went back in, hammered it more. I added a patina that was really heavy, and I kind of pulled that patina back, added a little bit more hammering, went over top of that and did some burnishing. And all of these processes, while they might seem redundant and they might seem a little, like I'm working too hard on it, they are so important for being able to get into a similar vibe as a reference cymbal, that's especially one that's a vintage cymbal, because vintage alloy has, old Ks that are pre-1970, they have 70, almost 70 years, if not more than 70 years of age for that alloy to go through a process where the copper and the tin start separating, and what that results in is a more brittle alloy. And I actually have an old K over here that it's a little 18-inch that a customer sent me because I'm making a 22-inch version of this cymbal. And this is when I actually, when I get a cymbal in my hands and can really analyze it, that's really helpful as well. But I only bring this cymbal up just to say that this cymbal, due to the age, I'm not quite sure on the stamp, I haven't even looked at it yet, but due to the age, this cymbal is going to have a really icy, glassy attack to it. And that is totally due to the hardening of the alloy, the brittleness that the alloy has relative to when it was made. So when I'm making a brand new cymbal and I'm aiming it towards the sound of a vintage one, I'm having to do certain techniques to try to artificially add in a little bit of that brittleness. Obviously, I'm not making the metal brittle, because that would be silly, but I'm doing things to simulate the brittleness and what that does to the sound of the cymbal. Just for kicks and giggles, here's that old K for you. All right, so without more talking, let's actually play this cymbal, and you guys can hear how it sounds. And then if you want to, toggle over to the other videos that I link in the comments below, you can check out that cymbal and kind of go back and forth. And then we'll talk about what I'm hearing when I listen to the two cymbals back to back, and a little bit of the differences there. But first, let's tap on it. Basically, when I took him this version of the cymbal, I said, okay, this is my take on the cymbal as I would judge it would be when it was made, plus the addition of a patina and a few processes to kind of tighten things up. And what I can do from here is I can go into some more extreme, I can take some more extreme measures to try to take this sound closer to how that cymbal probably sounds in the room today. And what I told them was, I said, what I would do is go in and do a process called overhammering. So I would hammer over top of all of this work that I've done and give it some nice strong potholes, not super big, but strong enough to really like get in there and kind of tighten the metal up more and raise the pitch of the sound, get that warm mellowness and kind of put it up into a little bit more of an aggressive, icy kind of thing, which would also give it a little bit more growl and complexity and trash. And the customer decided against it. They said, I really like the way that it sounds in the videos, and I think we should leave it as is. And so the way that I made this cymbal is essentially, I made the cymbal so that it will age, it will grow into being the sound of the reference, rather than being closer to the sound right off the bat. And that's something that I run into a lot is, I'm spending countless hours making cymbals and fine-tuning cymbals and really diving in to try to get the best sounds I can out of the cymbal. But I also have to keep in mind that the cymbal is going to take on a life of its own. It's going to be played by another drummer with different techniques, different sticks than I prefer, and they're going to be playing it in different rooms with musicians that I've never even known or met, and it's going to have its own life, and it's going to change. So a cymbal that is left and thrown in a closet for a decade, never played, it's going to be a little bit stiff, and then you're going to start playing it, and the vibrations are going to move through the alloy. It's going to kind of loosen up. So the cymbals are amazing because they kind of take on their own life, and they really do give you what you give them. So if you play them a lot, then you can have a really played in, nice feeling cymbal that will undergo this very long process of that brittleness and hardening over time. If they're neglected and rarely played, they kind of tend to stiffen up quicker. But we're talking years when I say that. So it's not just like put it in a closet for a week and it'll sound different. But it's really something that you can grow with. If you find a cymbal that you truly love, or even a cymbal that you feel like has a sense of depth to it and a real interesting tone, then it can be something you really grow with. I mean, my ultimate dream would be to have one cymbal that lives with me for like 50 years, and I can, at the end of my life go, wow, that cymbal has really changed a lot over the 50 years I played it. And so that's kind of a little bit of my thought process when it comes to recreating sounds and doing these kind of commissions that are aimed at very particular sounds. That's why, I'll get onto one last point before we wrap this thing up. That's why I really do not like the term clone. I really don't like when people say, here's an old K clone, here's a clone of this guy's cymbal. I don't like it because cymbals are so complex and they're so unique that the idea of cloning is just not possible. You can't clone a cymbal. I can make two cymbals. I could take two blanks that are the exact same gram weight, the exact same diameter with the exact same bell, and I can hammer them as close to the exact same way as possible, lathe them the exact same way, get them to the exact same gram weight, play both of them, and they will feel different. And that even goes, to some extent, can even extend into machine-made cymbals, which are made literally the exact same way with the hammer strokes hitting it at the exact same point across the cymbal. So this metal has a life of its own. And so for a cymbalsmith to make a commission that's aimed at a very particular sound, we have to take into account that it's going to be its own instrument. And I like to take inspiration from, say, Tony's sound or Elvin's sound or all of the greats that we know and love, old K's, Spizzichinos, all that kind of stuff. I love taking inspiration from that, but I find that the best results come when you allow the cymbal to just be what it is. And you can take these inspirations and allow it to propel you into a specific zone sonically, but then at the end of that, you just kind of have to let it go and go, it is what it is. That's why I typically, when I'm making these kinds of commissions, I'll make a couple at the same time so that I'm able to sense from the process of manufacturing, I'm able to sense which cymbal is kind of heading farther in the right direction and which ones are kind of maybe veering off. And maybe there's some of these cymbals that they're telling me, man, they want to be something totally different than what I'm trying to force them into being. So in that way, I would say that the craft of cymbal smithing can be more like an art form in that way, because you're dealing with the unknown, you're dealing with uncertainty. And that's why I love it so much. It's like I love jazz music. I love improvisational music more so than just jazz. I feel like my passion when it comes to playing is in improvisation. So cymbal smithing feels like a natural extension of that in a lot of ways. But that's just a little side tangent. I would love to know what you guys think. So please drop a comment below and subscribe and hit the bell if you like this content and you want to see more of it. I drop a video every week, and I've got a list a mile long of all the video ideas I have, and I'm going to slowly work through them. We'll get through them eventually. But until then, thanks for watching.